All right, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It's Rhett. And I know it's been. How long has it been? Oops. Yeah, it's been. It's not been that long. It's been like a week. But yeah, this chapter 38, is a couple days late. It's my bad. I just released it on the 2nd at like 4 in the morning. I was up. I committed myself. I was like, I'm not gonna push it back any further. So I just wrote it. And as usual, I feel like it suffered because I was rushing and because I was just sleep deprived. But it is the next night. It is almost 1 a.m. and I'm in a better state of mind. So we're gonna do some review and some editing for it. Let me check. Everything's good. My settings are right. Feels like a lot longer since I've recorded, but it's not the case. Alrighty, go check it out. We'll see how this looks in the Grammarly. I made a few more changes to chapter 1 in the meantime, and chapter 2 I was reviewing. It's going to take a much more substantial, rewrite than I expected. Let's see. We got bits of stuff to do. I am curious though. What if I do? I'm curious if I just do like, I take the cut off. Probably down like an 80, something like that. Oh no, it's still pretty much the same. Interesting. Well, anyways, that might restrict it a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. It's an informal writing. I'm not going to worry about it. Anyways, not too much to worry about. This should be a shorter video. I'm aiming for like, because it's a short chapter. I feel bad about that as well. It's almost 1,400 words. It's like 1,380. Um, nah, we're good there. Um, and I think I'm okay with that. I was thinking about spent in suffering instead of spent suffering. I wasn't sure how it sounded though. Spent in suffering. Let me try it just to see what happens. Doesn't like that. That's okay. I wasn't sure. I just wanted to get an idea. I'm gonna leave this for now. We'll come back and maybe I'll think about it. I don't was I think I'll just remove it to be that. Yeah, I feel that better. World. I think I feel much better when I do dialogue. So like when I have long stretches of descriptions or events or actions, it just it's tough to get a good flow going, if that makes sense. The hardest part as well, not the hardest, but another hard part is the time between chapters. Because for someone in the future coming in and reading, there's no delay between reading chapter 37 and chapter 38. But for me, there's like a 4 to 6 day delay. And so it's like I have to try and keep that in mind when I'm writing the beginning of the chapter. I try to end each chapter so that it's kind of self contained. That way, you can kind of pick up without too much difficulty, but some are continuations. Like this one's definitely more of a continuation. And I have a bunch of tabs open. I need to take more notes. There's a lot I need to do for the novel. In private, this is just going to be train it privately. This is something that I do quite often. Honestly, I'm not even sure if in private versus privately is a big deal. It definitely wants me to put it as privately, but I think I prefer in private in some cases. It's tough. Um, how do you feel about that? Hmm. Could so for now, so is a strange word because I like using it. It can help, but I also have trouble justifying it in a lot of situations. Mm. I like how this reads without the comma, but it wants me to add a comma. Get denied. I do this again and again. Why do I don't even. Someone probably saw that, or someone could have seen that. Um, I like the just, but it probably wants me to remove it. Just that. I'm gonna rephrase this, I think. Yeah. There are still videos. Oh, just that I can't type better. Yeah, I uploaded this without doing editing because again it was like I seriously wrote until like 4:30 in the morning. I was not in the right state of mind to do editing, and I had a job interview that didn't really pan out. So yeah, I'm doing editing now. Again, this is I don't know if I'll ever gain significant traction as far as building an audience, but right now I don't have a big one, so I would much rather make these changes now and get it fixed up now so that people in the future can enjoy the best version of my story as I fix it. Hmm. 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 What do I want to do? I honestly don't mind. I like the way that I have it phrased. My only concern is that I have my punctuation being weird. Semicolons, colons, dashes, hyphens, things like that. M dashes. It's hmm, it's tough. I'm trying to get more practice. I want to start using colons more. They are useful, and I don't like just using period after period. It makes the writing feel very uh, choppy. That makes sense. Uh, I might rephrase this. How do I want to rephrase it though? I might pull some of this up here. Whatever. We're in other locations. You know, I don't mind that too much. Honestly, I prefer other though, I think. We're in different is just such a accurate it's just like the most accurate word. Does that make sense? Sometimes with synonyms you lose meaning. Various isn't what I'm looking for. And other isn't quite right either. I think I'll just leave it as different, as strange as it is. This might just be a switcheroo. One of my favorite. Um, the good old switcheroo. Mm, I like how this. I like this as it sounds. I'll hold off. This is just going to be a non-hyphen. I could have sworn split second, but I guess I. Whoops. I guess I was off. Very strange. That's okay. I thought big shots was just one word as well in this instance, but maybe I'm misunderstanding. Hmm. Ugh, just feel good to be back. So yeah, I need to do editing. I'll talk about it, I guess, for time. Um, rewriting for chapter 2 and beyond. There's going to be a bunch of stuff that I change. Some more changes I made in chapter 1 is I gave a little more information on the dojo when he arrived there, because it's sort of an important location, at least to him, even though there may not be a lot of time spent there. It's where he'll return to. It's home basically. I gave more. I decided to add other combat sports into the mix as far as importance. So instead of pinning everything onto swordsmanship as like the de facto interest, it was all types: boxing, kickboxing, mixed martial arts tournaments, things like that. Fencing. They all gained traction in like the past 2 decades. That's sort of what I was going for. It'll also allow me to introduce strong or talented characters from Earth in other fields that aren't just swordsmanship. And it gives me more creative space to build them up. This is probably just a remove and then it's fine. Again, this is dialogue. It's not even necessary to remove, and I would be okay. And I mean, I wouldn't be bothered if I kept it. It's just that in this case, I think it's better without. Yeah, almost 1,400 words we're doing. So I was pretty close. 1,500 is more important because it's sort of like the expectation on web novel. I think that's how they monetize chapters. Is like a 1,500 is like a 1,500 word uh, minimum, but that's okay. I swore Big Shots was one. Let me look it up. I'll turn my screen black real quick just so I don't dox myself or something. Um, Big Shots, one word. I guess it's not. Interesting. Oh, well, I guess they're both right. Never mind. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it as is. I like it as one word. All right, here we go. Meet is just a colloquialism. I'm sort of building Blake to be that kind of guy. Um, you'll stay instead of you'll be staying. Just a small change, but saves a word, faster to say, less confusing. There is like potentially a small. I mean, it's again, this is like not going to make or break the story or the chapter. Changing this isn't going to be a huge deal. But I think I like you'll stay in. Actually, I actually think I'll keep it as is. But I wouldn't blame somebody if they changed it to you'll stay. Because she's handing him the key. So, like, she's kind of showing him the room. Or getting him to the room. I think I'll keep the just as well. Oh, I definitely messed up a lot with the it's. Yeah. Again, this is like the very end, so I was super messed. I was delirious at this point. I mean, it was bad. Dicotyl is how it's pronounced for anyone curious. I just kind of made it up. Uh, I'm not even sure, because, like, English is a language that doesn't make a lot of sense to begin with, but trying to use English to formulate words that don't exist is like, how do you even. It's like, I pronounce this as dicotyl, but I wonder if you were actually like a professional or, a PhD or something like that in language, like how you decide or how you create words or pronunciations for words. Maybe according to the English language, it should be pronounced differently. Dicotyl? I don't know. Uh, I messed up a few of those though. Strong conductor, heat and electricity. My brain, absolutely fried. What? Um, all right, it's good. And we're in good shape. Extra mat. Okay. Yeah, we're doing good. Tungsten is brittle. That's good. Uh, yeah, I fixed those already. Don't go back there, you silly. Fields, which this should be that. Interfere. Unnatural. Um, I think if this is just instead of, because, yeah, technology, techno, where are you? Here you are. Technologies and attacks. How do I want to rephrase this? Um, hmm, I like that well enough. So, this is a weird, I don't really understand what this is saying. Like, this is not, this looks like gibberish. I'm going crazy. Um, oh, I think I get it. No. This looks like a strange, confusing way to put this, to phrase this. I do kind of like that. Need it to remember. Mm, I'm gonna keep it as Hood because I like that. For it. Get out of here, you Uber. I figured about that when I was writing it, but I wasn't sure if I care if I preferred how it sounded with the pause, but I tend to do that quite often where I'll just write how I want it to sound and how I want it to read instead of how it should be sound instead of how it should sound. That's so there's the basic, which is not surprising that they would want. This is fine. I'm not going to put a comma there. Not going to put a comma there. I'm not going to put a comma there. I can't be stopped. Mm, mm, I'm curious. Let me just test. Whoops. I use 8. It says there's. Ah, that's why it's saying there's so many. That makes sense. All right. I think I'm pretty happy with that. As it stands. Alright, I was kidding. I actually am going to change a couple things. When in doubt, conjunction. I can't be stopped. Colons are the new semicolon. Let me search. Nice. I was I'm not gonna lie, I was a little concerned for a second that I had used. Okay, never mind. It's because I have class written several times. We're good, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. But messing around and alright. I actually do wanna here I did want to add like another detail or two to this. Uh Actually I kinda like it as it is. Never mind. Other than I try to add a little bit more information. For this punch that I kind of infer because I talk about him like prepping for the punch, gripping him, clenching the other, and then the effect. So like the punch is kind of inferred, the cause. I just kind of focus on the effect. I've been messing a little bit with, cause and effect and kind of how it functions in fights because I think just going play by play, cause effect, cause effect, cause effect is it's not bad, but some of the better fights mix in observations, they mix in planning and plotting, they mix in conversations, they mix in, so on and so forth. People may poke fun at, various animes or manga or TV series or movies for having people talk during fights or in between or like taking breaks, but it is helpful in breaking up the pace and helping keeping to keep things from being monotonous in that regard. Like imagine watching like a 5 minute straight scene of people just like punching or throwing punches or kicking. Having the bad guy and the good guy have like, this heart to heart or this conversation about their morals and what they stand for or the plan of, like his plan to end the world or so on, helps to keep things moving along. Even though they actually slow down the pace of the fight. It's to its benefit. Mm, I am curious. How dare you? I only have two semicolons in this. Is that true? Wow, I thought I had way more. That's crazy. That should just be a comma. Sad. Uh, all right. I think I am satisfied with that. Man, I still kind of want to mess with this a little bit, though. Again, I do feel bad when I write short chapters. If I can at least make like 1,600 words, I'm okay with that. But falling below 1,400 feels kind of bad. This is still better than the shortest chapters I've written. I think the shortest ones I've had is like 1,200, like barely 1,200. But when it's 2 days late, I feel even worse because I kind of feel like the expectation rise to have more. But I've always done what I can to keep this to keep the story moving. Like I try to have a lot happen in each chapter, at least let things feel like they're progressing. Even in this chapter, I established there's like some introspection. He meets some characters, gets some hints about a competition, stress. He learns about Claire's class and her and what she's capable of doing to an extent. Divinations. He gets a room to stay in and a hotel, and kind of a plan for tomorrow. So I've managed to accomplish, and he also gets some upgrades at the very end for a skill. So I feel pretty happy with like how much I accomplished in the chapter. But length is always important to me. I have read and read now novels where very little happens in a chapter. At least from a plot perspective, you'll learn a lot about the character's feelings about a certain action or an event. But that's kind of how it goes every time. Like something will happen, and then you'll spend like 2 chapters going over everybody's perspective on it. And when you're writing third person omniscient, that is sort of what the goal of the story is. But most of it doesn't really matter. Like, no, like, just straight up, most of it is not relevant. Because even though they feel that way, they don't act in any different way, nor do they behave. And these opinions and their thoughts are not directed outwards, at least not for a while. And by that point, you've likely forgotten. Or you could just portray their feelings through interactions with characters. I always try to seek a better way to do things. Also, I've been staying more consistent with my spacing, so I have my spaces made. This one's bold. Whoops. And also, I went through and fixed the size of my line dividers for like the system status prompts and challenge tab. So this should display properly now as just one line instead of a line and a half. I still have to go through and fix that for all of the previous chapters, but going forward, this should be fine. It is not going to be fine on mobile, but mobile users are in their own hell. I can't help them. I can't do much for them. Is that everything I wanted to cover? I'm going about 34 minutes. 40 minutes is sort of my goal. Interesting, interesting. It's weird. It goes down, but it doesn't say anything is wrong. I am surprised though. This might just be because I have different goals. I'm using informal formality and tell a story, so it likely doesn't see as many issues to correct. But still, 24 is not much considering I didn't do much to the pro changes. Let's see. Uh, Yeah, I don't think any of these are really proper. Rudimentary. Sound like a douchebag if I say that. Mm, the plot of this story, though, is developing. This arc, I've been hashing it out in my head. Getting there is still going to be a pain, but I've been hashing it out. Let's see. I think I got everything on it. I'm surprised. I'm sort of, I don't know, this is another like minor, like second guessing type of situation, but I wonder if it'd be better to say, though he swore there was a smile on the edge of her lips, instead of he swore he saw a smile. Tempting. It's tempting to change. Hmm. Is it the legendary semicolon situation? Essentially. I can't stop myself. I can't be stopped. I just can't be stopped. You'll have to accept it. Also, strange, but I have recently been having a craving to play Wizard 101. Is that weird? I have an account. I actually bought a year membership back in May or June, so like I've got a good 5 or 6 months left of the membership. But I actually really want to play it. I was sort of motivated when I first started, then I lost motivation, and now I'm kind of curious to like jump back in and just see how far I can get because the game does get hard, I've heard, and there's lots of different things to interact with, and spells you can learn, and cards, and treasure cards. So I am curious. All right, I think I've been stalling long enough. I want to put thankfully it wasn't long instead of thankfully that wasn't long. It's a small difference. I'm not even sure if it matters, but I think I prefer it over that. I'm not adding the commas because I don't want them there. I don't know why. I'm surprised that fixed it, but I guess it, or maybe it even didn't. Anyways, I think I'm pretty happy with where it's sitting. This is a strange one. I don't really know why it's wanting that to be changed. The toughest. The the chewiest metal on your planet. Man, I cackle sometimes. This I would be cackling more if it weren't 1 in the morning. Uh I don't want to make this a 2 word. I don't mind hardest. I might change toughest for hardest. Is that the most accurate statement? Somewhat complicated. It's I don't know. I did some research. I know osmium is the densest, so like the heaviest, but tungsten is also like there's not that much of a difference between tungsten and osmium in density. I think it's like 3. I think osmium is like 22. 22. What's the unit of measurement? 22 kilograms per kilograms or something. Anyways, whatever it was like 22 for osmium, like 19.3 for tungsten. There's a handful of metals that are like pretty close as far as numbers. So it's sort of hard, or it's sort of awkward. Um, because if someone knew or was familiar with metals, they might see tungsten as being the smarter choice because it gives you a very similar increase while also giving you the resistance. Um, 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 I don't know. Anyways, but osmium is the choice, and it'll come in later. I think I'm happy with it. Let's just call it there. I've rambled on long enough. Thank you for watching. I expect these videos to get traction from the future. People will come back to these videos to see what things were like. Struggles I was going through back in the day before there was a larger audience or before people cared or I had a Patreon or before anything like that happened. This is what it was like. It was me at 1 in the morning on most days, just absolutely pounding through it and getting pounded in return. But thanks for watching. I've been Rhett. I really want to rewrite chapter 2 between now and chapter 39's release, but I'm not sure. It might take 2 more chapters to get chapter 2 rewritten because it's going to require a pretty big rewrite. I want to remove the goblin talking language stuff, which just kind of comes off as silly, kind of unserious. I want to remove that. I want to redo some of the exploration of his like town area and sort of the introduction to creatures. I might rewrite some of the fighting, small fights that happen. I'll remove some of his reactions because it's sort of out of place for him to grin in a lot of cases or to like be vicious. He's not really good to go that direction with him. But back in the day, I wasn't sure, so I just kind of did what I did. I'm gonna change Goblin King Drew's introduction a little bit and his behavior. I might expand that fight slightly. I don't mind the way that it was a gimmick fight, but the fact that it only lasted like 1 move was a little silly. And maybe not. Anyways, let's take a lot. Thanks for watching. I've been Rhett, and I will be back within 4 to 6 days or sooner. Bye bye.